Hey guys, Wolfie here with a special presentation for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia for the 2nd of March 2020. This is going to be a much longer video than I have anticipated. This is going to be yet another update to the potential future of the game. But this is more likely for global. It could affect JP, but we don't know anything as of yet. There has been some new updates of sorts from all over the world, surprisingly. There's another group in the United Kingdom who is pushing for changes to be made to their current gambling laws in order to add loot boxes and microtransactions as to be considered as part of gambling. So there's another group. I'll get into who it is in a bit. There's some information on China regarding time limits and spending limits for Chinese gamers underneath the age of 19, possibly being influenced by current Japanese law, believe it or not. Also, and speaking of current Japanese laws for loot boxes and microtransactions, I'll include in the description below the link to an article of sorts from a website known as Lexology. And so I'll get to that more when I get to that part of the video. So, like I said, there's the UK, China, and China possibly being influenced by Japanese laws. We're going to go into something that's going on in Europe, and by that, Spain, France, and Ireland. There may be some talks with those countries possibly wanting some regulations on loot boxes and microtransactions. So I'll let this play out. So I'll be back with more once we get to the home screen. And I do want to remind anybody who's playing the game, I want to make an apology one more time for incorrect name of the weapon for Lightning's Burst. It's actually called Durando, I think it is. It's not Omega weapon, so I do apologize for that again. I just looked up the image a few minutes ago, so I do apologize for getting the name of the weapon wrong once again. So anyway, like I said, I just want to get the apology out of on that one real quick. So there's a lot going on that people might not be noticing, but people need to be talking. Now, regarding China, there is legislation they've recently passed and enforced for Chinese gamers underneath the age of 19. Meaning that there is not only a spending limit, but there's also a time limit. Now, the spending limit, of course, this depends on your age range. If you're underneath the age of 16, you're only allowed to spend possibly 27 United States dollars per month on anything and stuff like, loot boxes, all that stuff. And the reason why I'm saying this is United States currency, because that's where I'm based in. So it's about, I want to say it's about 200 yuan, which is Chinese currency. So it's about 200 yuan per month that any Chinese gamer that's underneath the age of 16. If you're 16 through 18, the spending limit is up to around 400 yuan, which is roughly $57 United States per month. And then regarding the time limit, to be brief and to the point here, it is 1 hour and 30 minutes. It's 90 minutes per day, Monday to Friday. If your weekends or any major holidays, I want to say it is up to 3 hours a day on those days. So I'll have links in the description below from both the South China Morning Post as well as Engadget. And the whole thing here, this is possibly influenced by Japanese law on the matter. Meaning that, and the meaning of that is with the Japanese laws is there is a spending limit in Japan for Japanese gamers underneath the age of 20. So there is some similarities with Chinese gamers under 19 and Japanese gamers underneath the age of 20. I mean, is it proven that China was influenced by Japan? We don't know. We may never know. but with China being one of the world's largest gaming markets, this should not come as a surprise. So I will, like I said, there is a Lexology article I will provide in the description below alongside of that. So, another part from around the world in a sense of updates comes from none other than Square Enix themselves and the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, the thing is with this particular remake, it's been talked about for years. There's been some questions of regarding the original presentation from E3 last year as to what's going on now. There used to be an article that from Games Radar regarding an issue about the exclusivity aspect, meaning that in the past, I would say in the past, but just after last year's E3 presentation, the Xbox group in the Xbox group in Germany posted on Facebook in error shortly after the E3 presentation about the remake being a timed exclusive of sorts, which shortly after that, it was pointed out in error, prompting the Xbox group in Germany to take down the post. However, it's come to light later, as of recently, that it is in fact a timed exclusive. Meaning that it is going to be PlayStation 4 exclusive, but for a limited time, meaning about a year. Now, there is, the way we will know this is that if you will look into the Square Enix online store, you looked up the image of Final Fantasy VII Remake, which, by the way, is the Midgar section of the game. So there is to be more than, there's going to be multiple parts coming. There's going to be something like a little label, a little mini sticker saying, please, it's like, it has like the exclusive and timed exclusive wording on that little label, which can potentially be false advertisement. Now, some people have been barking on Square Enix's Instagram page, with that information. Not so much the posts themselves, but when you see those posts on Instagram, and it's like an advert of sorts. Those posts. So with that out of the way, I'm going to get out of the game because there's a lot of articles I want to bring up. This does mean, and this I want, like I said, this is like I said, there is some information from the United Kingdom, France, Ireland, and Spain. And like I said, I'm going to take a pause. I want to make sure I get to my web feed, so you're probably going to be hearing me just me talking. So I will be back in a few minutes. I am back. Like I said, I want to get to the other articles I have managed to save in my my browsing history or whatever have you. So this is one of the group. This is the third group basically in the United Kingdom that's been wanting changes to the gambling laws that's currently is in the books for the UK. And this is, by the way, the changes to include loot boxes and microtransactions to be part of gambling. So this is from the NHS in the United Kingdom, and it's coming. And this information is coming from their mental health director, Claire Murdoch. So I'm just going to do a quick browse, but this is part of information from the third group. And believe it or not, the NHS joins the Children's Commissioner alongside the Digital Media, Culture and Sport Committee in the UK to say, hey, we need changes to our current gambling laws to include loot boxes and microtransactions. So this is the third group, and I do have another article right here from, this is the RSPH, the Royal Society for Public Health. This is another group in the United Kingdom. They're basically saying the same exact thing. There's a bunch of reports you could look into, when you get onto the site on your own time. So this is another group that's doing the same exact thing. So with that out of the way, we're going to jump into the country of France. What is going on? Exactly. So it looks like it says here, this is a website called Sports Bible. So it looks like Electronic Arts is getting sued in France over the microtransaction aspect, which could, if this lawsuit turns out to be successful, could have France joining the equation as a country to include loot boxes and microtransactions to be classified as gambling. So this is the whole thing with France's involvement. Now, I'm going to take a quick pause. I want to see if I still have the article from the Republic of Ireland. So I will be right back. I am back, and it looks like I actually got rid of this link, but here it is. This is the an Irish source known as the Journal. So this is again, this is from late January. So this is so this is pretty much showing that Ireland is looking into this as well as France in their own way, of course. Now, what I'm going to get into is that we're going to go into take a very brief look at a couple of sources that are from Spain, believe it or not. Because again, Spain is doing the same thing. So, we're going to go into one of the particular sources, if I could grab it. So, I do want to remind everybody that this entire article here from Business Insider is entirely in Spanish, and this is Spanish. So basically, this is confirming, as well as this other article right here. This is from the audio, which is another site, and this is Spain-style Spanish. It's all they're both they both are basically saying that these are the microtransactions and loot boxes. There needs to be some regulation going on. Now, I do want to add here, I had a conversation on this a little bit yesterday while I was headed to C2E2, and it looks like there is some people here in the Chicago area that are voicing their support to have microtransaction loot box regulation at the very least. One of them actually mentioned that he wants to see a ban on these because you're talking about people wanting more complete games with less bugs, less microtransactions, less loot boxes. That's stuff that we're seeing now. So, with all that out of the way, I will be right back. And once I get back, we're going to go back into the game and home screen on the game. So, I will be right back. I am back. There's actually one more piece of information here that I forgot to bring up earlier, and that is the financial aspect from 2019. Now, these numbers you see here, these are actually Android numbers. Now, the number I previously mentioned, that's just iOS. There was kind of nothing available for the Google Play side, aka Android users like myself, so take this information here you see for Android with a grain of salt. Now, mind you, this number might be reflecting going from 2019 into 2020. We don't know yet. We don't have the final numbers for 2019 available yet. So this is, like I said, the Android numbers, and then we're going to get into a quick look at the iOS, and you see here, this is pretty much iOS. Again, we don't know if this is the final numbers yet for 2019 revenue for the game. So another financial aspect of it, for whatever reason, people promoting this as free-to-play friendly, when you have other countries saying, not so much of the game itself, but games that have microtransactions and loot boxes, there are more countries coming out saying, hey, we need regulations. So now I will be back, and once I am back, I will be on the home screen of DFFOO, okay? I'll be back. I am back, and what do I think about all of this? Now, knowing that there are more countries either doing something about it, it says, try to regulate certain aspects of, like, microtransactions and loot boxes by limiting certain aspect of the player base. By that, Japanese gamers underneath the age of 20, as well as Chinese gamers underneath the age of 19. The fact that there's something like that already going on and enforced in China, Japan in their own right. And the fact you have more and more European countries wanting some format of regulation, or if you're in the UK, changes made to the current laws in the books in order to include microtransactions and loot boxes to be part of gambling. And I'm glad there are more countries that are speaking about this, because you're talking about the essence of addiction. This is something that is not easy to overcome. And I say this because some people don't know I'm a bit of a recovery addict from other things, and the things with addiction. Again, it's not easy to overcome. So, regarding to this game, I'm going to say this much. We all need to be talking. We all need to be talking about the loot boxes, microtransactions, the effects it has on our mental health, and making sure the people who are around us are also aware of what's going on. Because the less awareness that's going on, and I'll be completely honest here, the more laws are going to come into play, at least being introduced. And this is something that'll probably blindside some of us because we're not talking about it. And there's no real knowing how long mobile gacha games are going to last due to any reason you can think of, like loss of revenue or other games coming out or real life circumstances that take a much higher priority than the game, that sort of thing. So my final thoughts on all of this, and I thought it was going to be a longer video, but I managed to get it down to less time than I thought. We all need to be talking about this. We all need to be talking to our local representatives, legislatures, wherever we are, saying, hey, we are hearing this is going on, and we want to prove you wrong, that sort of thing. If we're not talking about this, if we're not reaching out to our local representatives to prevent certain things from being regulated, this game is going to die. And it's something that a lot of us do not want. And for those who think it's going to last for years to come, like I said, I wouldn't say like I said, but you have countries like Spain, France, and Ireland about to join the foray. And by the foray, the equation of having some format of regulations on loot boxes and microtransactions, making it games like DFFOO no longer being available in their country. And with the UK still probably working on doing their thing with trying to get their laws changed to include loot boxes, microtransactions as a part of gambling. This is like I said, if we're not talking about it, more stuff like this is going to come up. And it's going to force Square Enix, sadly, to retool the game. As much as it may not be something that we would want, but it is unfortunately a necessary evil. And I'm one of those people, I want to see some format of regulation because we all need to know what we're putting our money into. It's not too much to ask. But again, we all need to be talking about this. And the sooner we do, the quicker we'll save this game. And that's where I'm going to end this video, with Wolvie here, signing off. And before I sign off, I'm going to have links in the description below to the varying links I showed you, including the Irish journalistic the source from Ireland, the 2 sources from Spain, the information from England, alongside China, as well as the Lexology reports. I have all that in the description below. So now I'll be signing off, and I will catch you all on the flip side.